Whoa. So day two, we did it in the middle of the day, um, and it was 92 degrees outside. We were outside. I did 3 ounces instead of two, and it literally felt like 12 to 13 tabs of acid all at once. And it was really, really intense, like so intense, to the point where like I had to leave like the rest of the group because I was, I'm a super high empath. So like I started feeling all of the trauma and the negative energy that was coming off of everyone else. And I was just like, man, like I can't be here. So like I ended up finding like this little secluded area by the bathrooms, just because I had gotten so nauseous too. And the moment I was far away from everyone, I was really just, oh man, I felt a lot better. But then every time someone would come by me, I would like I would start hearing their consciousness, their subconscious, their soul, and like multiply that by however many bodies there are in like 100-yard radius, and like my brain was just overloaded, and like my eyes were closed the whole entire time, and like I could feel when someone was walking towards me, and I would have to like block my mind out. Otherwise, like, and some people would come by me and I would assume their illness and start like literally vomiting, heaving, heartache, like so many things. And it it's interesting because when I started this journey, I was like, I feel like I'm throttled, right? And I need to have like the full potential of my capabilities. And that's literally what I got yesterday. And it was really intense. Like I was having conversations with everyone around me without really having a conversation with them whatsoever. And people were starting to pick up on the fact that like I was having a conversation. There was a guy sitting like literally 100 yards away from me on the other side talking to somebody else, and like was getting counseling from one of the facilitators here. And you could tell that he just wasn't feeling whatever advice was coming from that facilitator. And like I was talking to him too, like via telepathy. And after a while, like he was looking at the guy, and then he turns over and starts looking at me. And he was like, he kind of freaked out, and he was like, is this really happening, right? Like, he noticed that we were talking the whole entire time. And I was like, and he started having like this shock of like, is this really happening? I was like, dude, don't overcomplicate it. I was like, telepathy is mega easy. And he was trying to understand. And he was like, how do you do this? And I was like, if you focus on your words, just like talking in physical reality, like you're gonna jumble up your words. Like, who cares how it works? It's happening, right? Let's just keep talking. And like we spent the next like 25 minutes like just talking, like me helping him get out of his like cathartic, moment and stuff. And it was really, really interesting. Um, and it's as such a highly spiritual person that I am, and like so like highly psychic, like yesterday it was really intense. Just like some people would walk by me, and like the amount of darkness that was residing in the depths of their soul was so poisonous and so like dark and like horrible that like it would put my consciousness into like a hyper shock. And there were times where I'd be like, wow, this person is really lying to themselves. Like they think they don't have anything that they can work on anymore. And like little do you know, like you've only touched the top layer of the jawbreaker. Like you just got rid of the white on the top of the jawbreaker. Like there's a lot there, and what's there is horrible. Like you need to like dive into that and really work on that. So that was like really, really interesting. And then like my totems just started coming out of nowhere. Like particularly one of my totems is the wasp. And the wasps were like literally like they wanted to, like, because of the amount of psychic agony that I was in, they wanted to be around me, like almost trying to comfort me. And I was just like, I don't want to be bothered. And I would tell them, like, leave me alone. And then I had two girls that were like looking over me, like, and they were energy healers. Ooh, man, if it wasn't because of them, like, literally, I would have lost my shit way sooner. And yeah, it was really, 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 really intense. It was torture, but it showed me like a lot of things inside. Well, it showed me this one really critical thing inside of me that, like, I feel like I literally got to work on. It's not that I don't know if I got to work on it. It's just, it's always been part of my personality and my vibration. My vibration being chaos and harmony. Like, with all the alchemy and all the techniques that I know for healing people, I can just as equally use, like, or I could find an alternative if I really decided to go for the dark side and cause havoc all over the place. And it really came out in this one moment because, like, when you're here, one of the rules is like, if people are tripping, you know what I mean, like, have like a quiet space because you don't know what people are experiencing. So I was sitting down and I was like having this moment where, like, my brain was in agony, and this lady came through and started talking so loud with her and her like groupies. And, like, I was like the amount of sheer pain, not only from their physical voices, but like the other like 35 people that just happened to show up at the same time, and then like all of them talking super loud, like, made my, I felt like literally like somebody was lobotomizing me. And I was just like, man, like, I can't, like, just can't. And I was like, lower the volume, please, lower volume, lower volume, lower volume, like in agony, like really in agony. And like, she she had she had the lack of consideration to actually just be chill with it and just see that someone else was in agony, even though she didn't know what the fuck was going on. And like, she was like, "Ooh, sorry for being so loud," and she started walking away. And like, literally the amount of rage that came out of me because of like, because that's what she was saying with her words, but like, astrally she was like, I get like, and I was just like, I lost my mind, and I let out this like intense rageful like moan, like, "Rah!" And like, she, like, you could tell like she felt like the amount of sheer chaos that was running out of me. And like, I got up and I had to catch myself, because that's when I started slipping back from harmony into chaos. And that's what, like, the most difficult thing about my vibration is that, like, it really, like, I need to perpetually be on top of my game, because the moment I have any negative feeling towards anybody, like, I could easily like bend reality against that person. So then, like, I had that like rageful like, "Rah!" And then the other healers that were around me, like, trying to like suppress like the amount of empathic flow that was coming in. They felt that like intense vibe of, you know, whoa, too much chakra. And like, they all like cleared my way, and I ended up getting up and I was like, ooh, bitch, like, if I could just ruin you from right here, like, I could just out of nowhere just pull out the most deepest, darkest shit that you have inside of your soul right now, and just debilitate you and let you stuck in a realm of your own shadow, and not let you step out of your shadow until you figured it out. And like, I was like, restraint. I was like, and then like, it was weird because I don't really, it was like this mantra of like, forgive them, Father, for they do not know what they're doing. Or, like, it was one of those. And I was like, restraint, Axel, like, with great responsibility, with great power comes great responsibility. Like, and you know that's not what you're here to do. You're not here to like use your abilities to put someone in their place, though you can if the circumstances were absolutely necessary. This is not one of those circumstances. And like, it really just put me face to face with that aspect of myself of like, man, you have a lot of you have like this deep profound chaos inside of you, and like this deep profound like rage that stems from like being fed up with like how people are missing the bigger picture of like reality, and like what's the whole point of like ascension. Like that was really like one of those things, and it was almost like I had like tapped into like all the rage I've experienced or I've been harboring in all of my lifetimes towards humanity and people like her, that like it's all about them, it's not about like what's happening at large. And like that's why I lost it, and like I had to catch myself, and I got to this point where I was just like, I can't be here anymore. Like I gotta walk away from this area. And like all the facilitators were like, I don't know if you can like go to your room. I'm like, if I don't go to my fucking room, like I'm literally like, you're torturing me right now. Like I'm a high empath. Like you guys do not understand what's going on right now. And none of the facilitators here were capable of like helping someone of my caliber. And that's the only thing I would really say for anyone who's like highly conscious and highly psychic. Like you should probably do ayahuasca in a very small ceremony, private ceremony. If you're gonna like maybe go to Peru and just do it with like 9 to 14 people, you should not be doing it if you can pick up on other people's energy. You should not be doing it at mass scale like this, because it really is that intense. You'll like, you'll start feeling other people's stuff, you'll start experiencing other people's stuff, and it was agonizing. And that's the only thing that I really like didn't like, but I don't regret doing it. I don't regret the experience of exposing myself for the first time to ayahuasca, because now I know what I'm waiting for. Last night I was going to do 4, and I decided to completely skip it, just because, the first night, there was that guy who almost launched himself into the fire, and then also kind of feeling everybody's agony, and that's why I disappeared. And then yesterday, like really tapping into what I was tapping into and the heartache of everyone and all this other stuff, which is like, there's nothing wrong with people who are dealing with their shit. Like, kudos for you to like look for your stuff, but like there's a level for everyone, and I kind of feel like there should be like a screening process. Like, are you like really highly empathic? Like, what's your story and stuff like that? And like, for those people who are highly conscious like myself, like there should be like a completely different mode of operation, you know what I mean, for those types of people. Because the people who are not like highly conscious, like them meditating together, you can tell like it's very, very cathartic for them, and like they all have each other to lean on. And like it was really interesting, because yesterday, like, I was in this deep agony, and my partner could feel like that agony, that empathic agony that I had from really, really far away. And he like worked his way over to like be with me. And the moment he came, like the biggest smile came on my face and made me so happy. And like it was almost like all that torture was just didn't matter, just because he was close by. And it was just so it was really was really awesome. And then it got to this point where like he had to leave because he could feel like my own energy like starting to decalibrate again, because people were starting to step into my space, and like the other healers that were around me were like really like interested, because they were watching me create barriers, um, and like moving traffic of people and like all these different things. Like psychically, I was creating like barriers. Like I created a fence, and I had done all these other things just to like keep people away from me, just because of like the sheer agony of everything that was going on. And so that was actually, it was fun to like watch other people be like, whoa, like this guy is really doing this right now, like holy shit. And then it was like I would telepathically be like, you could do this too if you just took a second to like let yourself be everything. And it was really interesting. It was enlightening. Overall, what was cool was that like I didn't find this out until yesterday, later, like on in a day, but um, there's three main spirits that come to you depending on what you seek. So the first day, I ended up seeing like the condor, which is like about showing you a higher perspective of things that you haven't been looking at inside of yourself, which showed me like the the insight of the things that had happened with me, like that first night, where like I started seeing like the bigger picture of like my vibration and stuff like that. And then there's like the snake, which later on in that night I was pulling out all these snakes from my system, and the snakes are tied to like deep trauma that binds you to a certain storyline. And I was just like, okay. And then last night I was like, I didn't do it because I was like, I can't go, even if I took 1 ounce instead of 4, I wouldn't be like, I would lose my mind. If 3 ounces made me feel so heavily connected to everyone, and I was assuming everything that was going on with them, I would literally want to kill myself if I did 4 or any more. So I locked myself all night long in my tent with my partner, because he was feeling the same way. I was in my room and I was like, man, maybe I should have gone outside and I should have done just 1 ounce and whatever. Maybe that would have been what I needed. Like maybe I would have loved to meet the last spirit. And like it was interesting because the last spirit is a jaguar, and then when I thought that, because I was like, I saw the other two, I would love to see the jaguar, and that's when the jaguar came through. It was like, why do you need to trip to talk to me? You don't need to do that. He's like, we both know you have more ability than that. And I was like, whoa. And then it started showing me just like more about myself, and like my, I don't know, things about my vibration when it comes to destruction, and like how destruction is just like this thing that you know it's a part of all reality, and you have to be totally chill with it. And um, jaguar was the first thing that my partner saw, and the jaguar shows you a lot about like your star incarnations, and like he was able to see like where he comes from in deep space and stuff like that. And he eventually was just kind of like, he told me that the jaguar was really intense. Like the few people that had seen the jaguar all had the same experience of like how they come from another planet and they're here because their people failed to get the bigger picture, and like their system or their planet no longer exists anymore because their people stopped giving a shit about their enlightenment and like themselves and stuff. So that was really really powerful. And he had this thing where he talked to his people, and his people were like, they literally told him Earth is lost, like humanity just doesn't get it. We sent you down here because we wanted to help them, but they won't get it. and like you have to just, whenever you're ready, this is like your last round, you can come back home. And he was like, what am I supposed to do while I'm here? And they were like, you can do whatever you want, but you're just there to help Axel complete his soul contract, and then the both of you can just go back to where you came from, or do whatever it is that you guys got to do in the deep cosmos. And him and I have known each other. We used to be ambassadors for each one of our planets back in the day, and like we would meet in secret so that we could find harmony between our cultures before our cultures killed each other. And we did, and like in that process we fell in love, and then like, you know, we've always met each other in other incarnations, and even in this one, like I could tell you how I met him. I met him on Grindr, and he was literally 2 streets away from me. And like, little did I know, before I knew it, I was literally exclusively dating him, not looking to date anyone. And he's literally the only person that's ever understood like the level of like psychic awareness that I have and stuff like that. And it's really, like just him hearing his own star story was really interesting, because I can tell you our story, but it's not until you see it for yourself that like you really end up really validating it for yourself. And he saw that last night. And like my partner is like heavily like clairsentient and claircognizant, and like he's very like totem driven. And he feels the same way that I did. For people like us, like we can't be tripping like this at this caliber with this kind of environment. I definitely feel like it brought me closer to my partner, because we had real talks about certain things that have been affecting us as individuals. We were able to really just not only answer things for ourselves, but like the greater scope of like what we're doing here on Earth. And like it was really interesting, because like for a long time, like I've gotten really aggravated with humanity, and there's times when I get really aggravated, and he's like, why does it aggravate you so much? And then yesterday he came back after his experience, and he was like, I totally get it. He's like, now I understand why sometimes you feel like they're just lost, and like there's nothing we can do to help them. And he's like, and I understand why your ancestors decided to just leave, because they really just don't get it. And I was like, yeah, but like the whole point of it is to finish the contract, and is not to help everyone. Like what I've come to understand with my vibration, I'm not here to help everybody. I'm here to help the people who want to come with me. The people who want to go on freaking the Ascension arc and get the hell off this planet. Like we're all star people, and like we're trapped in human bodies, and like that's the biggest illusion out of all of it, is that like so many people get focused on like we're spiritual beings, right? Yeah, we're spiritual beings, but you're a star person. That's where it all starts from. You're this person from the stars that came here for a reason. And when you understand what person that is, that creature, then you can get closer to source, and that's when you can get to your full divine alignment. And that was something that really came to me through this whole entire experience, is just like my vibration is my own. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to like it if you don't want to. Like at the end of the day, I've reached Ascension. Like I know how it works. I know what the truth is. I know what brings me and thousands and thousands of other people results on a regular. Like, and if you don't want to accept that, it's not your time to get off this planet. And I'm not gonna judge you for it, but I also understand that like, I don't have to sugarcoat it for you either. Like, and sometimes I feel pressured by like other people to like do things that humanity wants me to deliver instead of what the star people need. And like that really put things into perspective for me, which is like, who cares about what humanity wants? It's for the star people. The star people will get it. The star people will absorb it. They'll know what you're talking about. They'll know what needs to be done and what needs to be pursued. Like, that's what matters. And I said, you're right. Like, I'm not gonna try to force myself to be in anybody else's like little cookie cutter mold just because, you know, they don't like my truth, you know. A lot of people get angry when they think that I'm slamming Reiki, like any form of Reiki. Well, like, you know, my truth is that Reiki's outdated. The Reiki that we've ever known is outdated, and that's why I created Quantum Reiki, because I found the bigger truth to it. And anyone who has ever like devoted themselves to the art of Quantum Reiki know that I'm not talking shit when I'm saying like, really, all other forms of Reiki are flawed. Like, I'm not saying that they're any less beneficial, you know, because we have Tylenol that does certain things, we have aspirin that does certain things, we have other things that do certain things, but ultimately, nothing is better than the most highly concentrated, pure medicine that you can give someone. And that was like my whole point of it. And some people are like, I feel like you limit the energy of Reiki, or I don't feel like you talk Reiki down, and blah 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 blah. And it's just like, whatever, like, you just don't get it, you know. It's not for you to understand, like, you know. And then another thing is like, people really aggravate me sometimes when they hear me talk my truth, and they're like, oh, you have a lot of ego. Bitch, like, I can't you can't reach ascension the way that I have if you have ego. What you perceive as ego is my personal truth, my definition of reality, which brings me results. Like, you know, my abilities are to manifest. Like, I can manifest at will, like almost anything, not only for myself but for other people too. So like, you know what I mean? Like, when it comes down, like, I find it interesting how some people are trying to judge, will try to judge me based off of ego, say that I have ego, but they don't look at like the fact that because their ego's been threatened by my truth, that they're not experiencing ego in any sense by actually talking shit about me having ego. And that's where I kind of come to this. I always get angry, like I always get this rage when people like try to like step out of line. And my rebuttal is like, when you can come down and you can refute my research, and you can bring something more heavy than my research and what I have found and what I'm helping people do at a larger scale, talk to me about my ego. Talk to me about ego then, when you have reached this level of information that I'm perpetually touching every day of my life, every second of my life. And like, I ended up coming to that conclusion, which is like, it's like, and not only about like ego, but like just the fact that so many people a lot of people here like believe in like Christianity type dogmas, and they want to emulate God, you know, and all of God's qualities. But, you know, something that I've learned about my ancestors is that people in ancient Egypt thought that my ancestors were deities, and they were just freaking aliens that understood reality beyond comprehension of normal man. So if they thought that we were deities, and all of my people, though we're ascended, we all have our personality, and each one of our personality has a flaw. You know, we're not perfect. So many people are trying to be like the creator, but the creator embraces their flaws and defines their ultimate truth based off of their positive and their negative. And I really think about Shiva, the Master Shiva, and like the Master Shiva, his weakness is loving Shakti, you know, so much. And like, he all like, if you read different lores between any of the ascended masters, like, they are not immune of like getting angry at each other. They're not immune of like wanting to get even. They're not immune to, you know, hurting each other at some point. But we all have that capacity to just say like, all right, I did this, I'm sorry, and let's move past this. I'm not gonna harbor anything negative towards you, you know. And like that's what we're all capable of doing. And like, I guess with that statement right there, I'm just trying to say like, if you're looking to be anything like any God that you believe in, just remember like that God is going through their own story and their own, you know, perception of reality, and like they have their own shit to deal with, even though you don't perceive it as them having any flaws or anything that they have to deal with because they're multidimensional. That's bullshit. Like, they are dealing with their own shit. You just don't understand non-multidimensional, like, you don't understand their multidimensional issue the same way we would comprehend it here on the lower planes. And that was something that really gave me a lot of peace, just knowing that, like, my vibration is chaos, partially. I'm 50-50 chaos. You know, I'm 50-50 chaos and harmony. The rage comes from the chaos, and like, I control my rage. I'm never gonna get rid of my rage. It's just this force that's inside of me that allows me to create when I need to create. It's just when my rage gets out of control that I destroy things. And I'll never let that happen. And I've worked my entire life not to let that happen. And it really gave me peace, understanding, like, really coming to that conclusion of, like, that's what it is, you know? Like, I'm walking my path. I'm doing what I need to do. I'm 97% done with my soul contract. And I couldn't be more happier. So thanks for listening to this. I don't know if in my last video I said I seen this girl in an apartment who was staring at a wall. I saw her here today. Well, I saw her here at the beginning, like I said, and I finally talked to her. Like, I saw her and I was like, I don't know where I've seen this girl, if I've seen her. And it hit me, like, in between February and April, she had visited me in astral space because she was looking for, like, a grander answer. And she was just kind of like, you know, she was looking to see if she could be a writer. And then today I finally got a chance to talk to her, and I was like, hey, like, you may not remember me, but you talked to me a couple months ago in astral space because you were confused on whether or not you should pursue writing, and I told you to pursue what you love. Did you end up finding your resolve? And she was just like, oh my God. She was like, I'm absolutely speechless. She was like, yeah. And then she pulled up her notebook, and through this ayahuasca journey, she says, I need to write to help people because that's what I really love. And like, it brought me like tears, because it was just like, here I am, I'm helping people even multidimensionally. Like, I'll be sleeping and like randomly end up in some obscure apartment that I don't know where the hell I'm at, seeing somebody like lost out of their mind, and just talking to them and be like, what's the matter? And then them later in physical reality coming into contact with me, and then still having, like, seeing how their astral self absorbed with what I had given them, and like how they found that own resolve through like an experience like this. Like, everything is interconnected. Time and space is an illusion, you know. And like, I showed that to her at least today too. And she was like, just thank you for like, she's like, thank you for answering my call when I needed help that day, because I was so lost. And she was like, I literally went to sleep thinking to myself, like, if there's anything that, or anyone that could give me help on finding my answer, like, please, 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 please bring me that answer. And then she summoned me from astral space, and we had like a 15-minute little chat about how she needs to be a writer because that's what she wants to do. That's what she needs to do. So that was like so freaking beautiful. Just damn, like, the universe is pure magic. You are all magic. Never forget that. Ever. Ever. And don't let anybody define you. Ever. Find your own vibration. Find your own truth. Define your own God power. And like, love yourself for that. Drop your ego. If you feel like you have ego, drop your judgments against other people if that's what you have. You can have your opinion on how you feel about certain people, that's fine. Especially if your intuition tells you something there is wrong. Like, you just do that, because I definitely I felt that with certain individuals that are key elements here. Like, I kind of just felt, I could really see like the true intention behind their soul, and that from the get-go of getting here, I had said that to my partner: this person right here, XYZ, this person right here, XYZ. And I would just be like, their vibration I don't dig. And he sometimes thinks that I just go off of like, I don't know, some sort of personal prejudice, because like I can be a little bit elitist when it comes to shamanism. Like, I know shamanism so well that like there's a process to it, and like when people don't follow like the sacred process, it really angers me, because you're defiling not only my culture but the art and like the potential that could be delivered. And I can see that in healers. I can see healers who are just in it for the money. I can see healers who are in it because they're trying to lie to themselves and try to tell themselves that they're an amazing person because they're doing like this workshop at large, you know what I mean? When it's like, you're just doing it to feed your ego. You're doing it because you like everyone being on top of your spotlight, like putting you in the spotlight. It's not about the healing modality at large. It's about what you can get first, and then what you can then later give to other people. And when I came here, I could pick up on exactly what kind of people those were. And at first he didn't really agree. He was like, oh, maybe it's just you. And then later throughout the retreat, he was like, no, I see what you mean. He was like, I definitely see what you mean. And I remember before I decided to come here, I was like, I'm not, if I don't get to do an ayahuasca ceremony with an indigenous shaman, I'm not coming here. I refuse to do an ayahuasca retreat with an American shaman, because their philosophy is not the same as like people from my roots and people who do things the way I've learned to do them. Because it's definitely different energy. It's a different perspective. Your perception of reality really opens up the potential that you can deliver to anyone. And if your perception of reality is limited, which I've noticed a lot of American shamans have that, good for them for being shamans, but for me, it just doesn't cut it. And like, there are people who need American shamans because they need, that's the only people that can relate to them. Totally, great, awesome, do you. I'm not slamming that at all. At all. But, I have all these lizards hanging out around me right now, and finches, girl. There's one more thing I wanted to talk about when it comes to abundance. Like, abundance was one of the things that came to me recently too, because I was really tapping into my pharaoh abilities, my pharaoh story, especially yesterday. Like, it was really interesting because like my vibration is literally so powerful, and that pharaoh inside of me is literally so present that like I would walk around and there would always be a chair just like somewhere waiting for me, positioned in the right place, like a throne. And like I would sit there, and it was literally like me sitting on my throne, and then having like the people who were taking care of me just gave me these flashbacks of like having servants and helpers in ancient Egypt, like at my beck and call, like I need some water, I need a towel, like I need a fan, like, and it was really interesting. Like it wasn't anything, you think like being a pharaoh, it would make you very like pompous, right? But that's not who I was even then. Like I had all these blessings and I had like these people around me, but at large I was always helping people, even though I was being catered to, you know what I mean? Like I needed to be catered to produce better alchemy for my people, better technology for my people. And that was like really interesting to have that flashback and just feel it and see it, like just see how people responded to my presence and like my energy, and just them not inherently knowing what they were interacting with, but inherently knowing like this is a being of extreme spiritual potential. And it was humbling because the whole entire time I'm thinking to myself, like, I'm no better than you at all. Like I literally just know more. And it was like, whoa, you know what I mean? Like it was really like, that was humbling as shit. And then the whole abundance thing is like, I came to understand, like, I do what I do because I gotta survive, because we have forgotten how to take care of the shaman the way we used to, and like take care of spiritual leaders the way we used to. I've never done anything based off of profit. I've always done things based off of the mission. And like, one of the things that it taught me was like, always remember that like money is an illusion. Money is just whatever. Money means nothing, and like money is only as finite as your attention to how limited it is in your perspective. Money is as limited as your pursuit of it. And if you're constantly pursuing something, that means you don't have it. That means that you're not one with it. That means that you're not actually embodying it. And like, I was literally sitting down and I'm like, man, like everything that goes to Antojai is not mine. It's Antojai's. It's like I am the master of the language of Adonai, which is Antojai. Antojai is the language of Adonai. And ultimately, like, Antojai takes care of me. Like, Antojai is not this business that I'm trying to make big bucks off of. Like, it tells me what to do, I do it, and then it takes care of me. It told me I needed to come here. It paid for this trip, so I could then like enlighten myself and then recharge so I can go back to delivering the message of Adonai to the people of Earth and the star people. And when I really realized that, like, ultimately, because there's my bank account of my money that I make, randomly, just maybe I'll make someone a mala, like walking around, or just like just doing something randomly, or maybe I'll just do a tarot card randomly, right? And then that cash, since I'm not working, is mine, right? Because like I wasn't expecting to do it, I just carry around a tarot card. But my bank account, my personal bank account, literally only has $400 into it. $400. All right? And Antojai is the one that has the money. Like, ultimately, my abundance is not defined in any traditional way the way I've been perceiving it, because here I am, Antojai takes care of me, the masters take care of me. You know, that is the ultimate message behind it. Like, abundance is nothing because I'm taken care of. You know what I mean? If I need something, it's there for me. All I have to do is ask. That's the limitless potential of abundance. And that was so eye-opening because I had never seen it that way. You know what I mean? I had never really put that into consideration. Though I've always lived my life that way, knowing that everything I make, everything I do is for Antojai and the legacy of Antojai that's to come long after I'm gone. But I never really thought about it that way, you know? And that's something that's really enlightening. So I hope that could give you a perspective that abundance is literally your perception. Stop pursuing it. Just be it. Do what you love, and the abundance will come as a byproduct. Live your soul mission authentically, and your soul mission will become the abundance that you've been seeking for such a long time. Thank you for listening to this whole entire process of my ayahuasca journey. And I hope this can give you a little bit of enlightenment on what to expect. And, you know, if it's right for you, you have to be right for it. I've been wanting to do ayahuasca for a very long time, and it wasn't until 5 years, 6 years after the fact that I ended up hearing about it that I was able to actually come into alignment with it and take it now. And it unlocked all of my abilities, and it showed me the things that had to be let go and the things that had to be understood, and I'm happy. It was worth it. The Ecuadorian shaman was amazing. Her energy is so pure. Like, she's literally an embodiment of the ayahuasca spirit itself. And like, she would walk by and like touch you with leaves and like really give you like this expansive consciousness thing. Like, very powerful. Really dug it. I would like to just kind of like get insight from one of my elders, my indigenous elders, you know. I think that would be really cool, and I'm going to do that before I leave because that's something I really need to do. I just feel like it'd be really, really beneficial for me. Thank you. I love you. Talk to you later.